My name is Daphne Uduneji. I'll be anchoring the course Linguistics and Phonetics for the next 40 minutes. Before we go into the course proper, I want to do a kind of introduction by giving you a rundown of what we will be going through within the next, I think, 5 or 4 slots. That should be about a month's class. We'll be looking at what is linguistics, and of course, the branches or types of linguistics. We have branches of linguistics, we have types of linguistics. We'll be looking at language. And after that, we'll look at the characteristics of human language. Then we'll go to what is phonetics and phonology. And after that, we'll look at the classification of sounds, talk about consonants, vowels, and of course, we'll also look at the usage, how the sounds can be pronounced. After that, we'll look at the branches of linguistics that we have. That will be morphology, looking at syntax, semantics, and we'll do a little bit of history. If we have time, we'll be looking at the history of the English language. We're looking at how did we arrive at pronunciations. Of course, you will learn at the end of this course that there are various ways of pronouncing words or phonemes, but of course there are ones that are accepted. We have different kinds of English as we get to know in the course of this study, and then you also, through the history, you will get to know why we pronounce some words the way we do, and why a particular kind of pronunciation is acceptable. Now, what you start to gain in this course? Now, as a student of mass communication, your hallmark, the hallmark of a good communicator is your pronunciation. We do suggest to students and even students in other disciplines and people, individuals and organizations to always listen to the mass communicators, because they are seen as the masters of the language in which they communicate. Remember, not just the English language now. We have communicators who communicate in other languages. We have people who communicate in the Yoruba language. We have the Russian language. We have the French language, and so many of that. So for each of these languages, the mass communicators are seen as being on top of this language. Why? Because their words is a good usage, good pronunciation is the hallmark of a good communicator. And of course, you can't be excused. We could excuse other disciplines, other fields, but when it comes to a mass communicator, your usage, your accent, your diction, your pronunciation must be in place. Now, back to our study today. I'm going to look at what is linguistics. Now, linguistics is the study of language, or the scientific study of language. Here we look at linguistics from the various branches that makes up language. Language is like a whole, but within it are all the segments that makes it the whole. So we're looking at those other segments that makes it the whole. We'll look at it in terms of the sounds. How are the sounds of a language brought together? We look at in terms of meaning, how is meaning developed in languages. We'll look at pronunciation, of course, how the nose, the tongue, the lungs, and other parts of speech are used to make sounds. And of course, we look at it generally in terms of the commonalities within languages of the world. We have, like I said earlier, we have other languages. You get to know that there are some things that connect one language to the other. And these are the things we'll be studying. Of course, and linguistics also looks at the society. How does language affect the society? Look at the variations in the various kinds of language, and of course the influence of language on the society, how people use language, why they speak the way they do, why where other standards, there are standards and there are not, there are standards which are acceptable, why do we have such? And of course, we'll also look at the origin of language. Now, branches of linguistics. We have branches of linguistics. Please note this. We have branches of linguistics and we have types of linguistics. Now we're looking at the branches of linguistics. One, we look at phonetics. Phonetics is the study of the sounds of speech. And so when you talk about English phonetics, we're looking at the sounds of the English speech. Now we're going to look at how sounds are made using the mouth, the nose, the teeth, the tongue, and also we're going to look at how the ear perceives those sounds. All right, and we're also going to look at how the sounds. I we're going to look at how these sounds affect the physical movements of the tongue. Phonetics refers to possible shapes and movements and use of physical movements and use of physical space. Now we look at phonology.
Hello, student. Please be patient for your lecturer. I think she is having issue with power. Please, you'll be back in 3 minutes. Thank you. Mrs. Daphne, please, if you can hear me, please continue your lecture. Why is for the sake of the battery? Instead of battery. Mrs. Daphne, please, if you can hear me, please continue your lecture. Hello, Mrs. Daphne, please, we can't hear you. Mrs. Daphne, please, we can't hear you. Hello, Mrs. Daphne, we can't hear you. We're sorry for the delay. Please, your lecturer will be with you in 3 minutes, please. Please, your lecturer is trying to reconnect. Please be patient. Please unmute yourself on the phone so that we can hear you. Mrs. Daphne, please unmute your phone. 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 Hello.
Unmuted, okay? Hello? I don't understand. Is it mute phone or mute it? Let me call Mr.
We can hear you now. Please continue. Continue. We can hear you, ma. Mrs. Daphne, we can hear you. Continue. Mrs. Daphne, continue. We can hear you. Hello? Mrs. Daphne, please unmute your phone again. Mrs. Daphne, please unmute your phone. Mrs. Daphne, unmute your phone.
I've done that.
Continue, we can hear you now. Continue your lecture.
I've done that.
Continue, we can hear you now.
All right.
Continue your lecture.
All right, branches of include phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, discourse analysis, semantics. Now we'll take each of them. Phonetics, I've already explained that. Phonology, I've also done that. We've also talked about morphology. Now, syntax. Syntax is a study of how phrases, clauses, and sentences are constructed and combined in particular languages. Now, writing a grammar requires defining the rules that govern the structure of the sentences of the language. Now, such rules involve both the order of words and the form of words. Please, you can read up that. It's on the screen already. Then let's talk about semantics. Now, semantics is the study of meaning. It focuses on relations between words, phrases, and other bits of language, and how these words and phrases connect to the world. Now, let's look at the types of linguistics there are. We have applied linguistics, historical linguistics, social linguistics, psycholinguistics, and computational linguistics. Now, historical applied linguistics uses theory to solve real-world problems. Just as the word suggests, or as it connotes, apply. So it applies the theories of linguistics to solve problems in the field of language, in the field of science, in the field of education, in the field of all the, in terms of linguistics can apply what they know about how children and adults learn languages to design effective methods of testing students' progress. Now, what that means that linguistics apply the knowledge based on the survey, on the researches they've done. They use it to design educational programs or materials which could be useful in teaching second languages to children. Now, educators can use what they know about how people actually use language to make sure their classes prepare students for the kinds of exchanges they are most likely to encounter. Now, historical linguistics, this talks about the study of how languages have changed over time. Language evolves. We said that language is dynamic, and that means it goes through changes from time to time. So the historical linguistics look at these changes and how they affect the society. So we have borrowings, we have contacts, and all of that. Social linguistics is the study of society and language. Now, sociologists may use surveys to explain in which context a language is used. They also use their knowledge of linguistics to talk about the society. They could use it to analyze why people from a particular area speaks the way they do. Of course, like I said earlier, it is tied to sociology, which is the study of the society. Now, sociologists or social linguistics investigate how languages function within populations in terms of how both languages affect the population and how the population affects languages. So this helps, that's why social linguistics helps us to know why people speak the way they do. Like there are some people that their usage is affected maybe by their dictions, their accents. These are the things that could easily be revealed by social linguistics. And of course, psycholinguistics, this is closely tied to cognitive science, a relationship between language and the mind. And then we have computational linguistics. This has to do with how linguistics uses computer to build models of language. Now, these models can be used to explain subtle patterns in language structure. Please, I suggest that you go through all of this. They are on the screen there. Now, let's look at language. What is language? The term language can be used to refer to a variety of concepts, things such as the particular form of words used by the people of a country or social group. So hence we can talk about Nigerian language, Swahili language, German language. We can also say that language is a style or types of words used by a person or group of persons. So, which is a topic, this is generally studied within social linguistics. Now, language as a form of human communication, most linguists would probably argue that although many animals are able to communicate, but they do not actually have language. Now, this is a major attribute which distinguishes human beings from the rest of the animal kingdom. Now, to put this in the right perspective, there are 5 characteristics which have been studied by Hughes. Hughes is a linguist. He brought up 5 characteristics of human language, which distinguish human communication from that of animals. Now, number 1 is displacement. Now, this is the ability to use language to talk about times, places, and people. That is, you talk about here and now. This is one thing that animals cannot do. Now, this also enables us as human beings to know what is false or what is true. This, again, could not be found in animal communication. Now, let's talk about arbitrariness. Now, this means that there's generally no natural inherent relationship between the sounds, that is the sounds or letters that we produce and their meaning. I give you an example. In different languages can use different signs to refer to one thing and the same thing. For instance, we have flower in English, which is Blumen in German, and it is known as fleur in French. These, all of this talks about one object, which is the flower. But as you can see, the various languages have used them in different ways, and it sounded and in different ways too. Now, I'll pause here and just give you one or two assignments before I continue. Now, please, I want you to look at the differences between human communication and animal communication. Also look at the branches of linguistics that we talked about, and of course the types of linguistics. And I want you to also look at the characteristics of human language. Please take your time to do that. I really apologize for this class. It's like most of our time we're spent trying to fix the network, but I'm sure by the time we'll meet again next week, we'll be able to fix all of that. Now you send it to this email, Daphne Uduneje.
Please, 2 minutes more.
Daphne Uduneje at gmail.com. Daphne Uduneje at gmail.com. Okay, let's continue with the characteristics of language. Now we have productivity. This is an important characteristic of human language. Now this allows humans to continuously create new utterances, combining the various branches of linguistics. So this could be either in sounds or in sentences. So this makes human language to continue to evolve. Yes, students, we're going to wrap it here today. And then from the next class, we'll be able to conclude the characteristics of human language. And of course, we'll move on to the different kinds of phonetics and phonology. And then we'll talk about classification of sounds, the consonants and the vowels, and also look at the voice and voiceless sounds. And then we'll look at the different kinds of consonants. We're looking at the plosives, fricatives, affricates, nasals, liquids, and semivowels. Thank you.